What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. If you have been following along with this whole series so far, you would know that we have officially reached our goal. We set the series out to reach 10 billion GP. And guess what, guys? We did it. We have officially hit 10 billion GP. And I finally got done selling everything, so I'm really excited to show you guys the entire breakdown of this entire series. We're going to go through everything that we made, time spent, totals gained, everything. So let's go ahead and jump right in to the entire loot. Starting off here, we have completed 1,600 hard clues and 236 masters. I know that sounds like not a lot, because it's really not. We got extremely lucky with this series, really early on too. Episode 3, we actually had to change the entire goal because I set it out at first for 7 billion because I only had like 3 billion GP at the time. So I really wanted to hit that blue stack. But since we hit that 7 billion mark, because that is what the third age die was worth, we had to change it up. So it looks like a little because it's really not a lot of clues. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the next section. Now this here is where we gained basically our entire video. Almost entirely is our whole stack right here. So the major thing that we got, that third age die in episode 3, that actually sold for 9.2 billion. If I had held on to it, it would have actually sold for a lot more. I sold it way back when I got it because I was afraid that die prices might drop. Ironically, they skyrocketed after I sell it. It's just my luck. I never have luck when it comes to selling items, which you will learn later on in this video. Now moving on, we did get 2 Barrows dies, which sold for 323 million for both of them. That is a huge advantage. I mean, I think when I started, Barrows dies were only like 100 mil. They might have been 99. So that, another thing, they went up. That's great. Actually, when I got them, I think they were worth less. So I sold them at the very end of the series because I was not too worried about Barrows dies. The next big ticket item, third age Ranger Chaps. Those actually sold for 205 million GP. I think the GE has them listed for like 150, so getting that extra 50 million, wonderful. Love that. Also with the third age Ranger Koyev, that sold for 173. I believe that was above the value that they came in at. So I was also very fortunate to have that entirely in there. So in total, we gained 9.9 billion just from broadcast alone, which is almost the entire series. 100 mils worth left is all you would need, which you completely get in fortunate components. Now, with fortunate components, as you can see here, the average fortunate component goes for 1.3 million GP. 372,000. Keep that in mind. That is what the average value is if you were to disassemble them into fortunate components. I know some are worth more, some are worth less, but in total we gained 1,073 fortunate components. That is not actually the entire amount, that is just what I converted into fortunate components. Now in total, that goes for 1.472 billion GP. That is what that value would be as of that 1,073. So again, keep that in mind. Now from those fortunate components, I was able to make 19 Grace of the Elves, which sold for 1.33 billion GP. Now obviously here, it actually took me, I think, 6 days. I went on vacation, I left it in the GE at, I think it was, the average was 74. As of the time that I sold these, the beach event is ending, everybody is selling all of their clues, and prices for everything has just crashed. So I actually had to put them in lower, and it took 6 days to sell at 70 mil each. That was way below, like 2 mil below the average GE value. And I think they're still crashing because 70 mil is just ridiculous. Now I did have to buy 19 Onyxes, which only comes out to about 19 million. So if you count getting rid of those and of course having to enchant it, which is nothing, that's like 1.6k to enchant it into the Grace of the Elves. So I'm not really counting that. We gained a total profit of 1.3 billion GP, which brings the fortunate value up to 1.38 million GP, a little bit above the average value of what a fortunate component is, and that's including with the price that I had to spend in order to buy the onyxes. So it was actually a little above, even though we sold below of what a fortunate component should be. So that's still a win-win. Now I did happen to have 4 rumbling components from when I was using my scavenging perk in order to get all of the pieces that I need to do all this. So I did decide to do 2 Brooch of the Gods. I did have to buy 2 Hydrochigs, which did come out to 127.4 million. So we can go ahead and just scratch that out of what I had to buy in order to make this. I did sell both of them for 284.3 mil, which comes out to a total profit of 156.9 mil, which is great because that is, I think, a little bit more profit than it would be if I made, a Grace of the Elves or a Luck of the Dwarves. So that's why I happen to use those 2 rumbling components. If you don't have rumbling components, then it's no big deal. Go ahead and make your Grace of the Elves or your Luck of the Dwarves, whichever seems to be selling better at that time. Now from those masters, we did get 5 total ornament kits. 2 of them were soul ornament kits and 3 of them were reaper ornament kits. Those are always just an added bonus. Love to get them. From the 2 soul ornament kits, we did gain 91.1 million, and from the reaper ornament kits, we gained 20.8 million. Between all 5 of those, we gained a total of 111.9 million GP. That again is just another really good perk. It's just kind of like getting a broadcast, but on a lower level. So nice to see those as well. Now you will happen to get quite a bit of rune salvage. Hard clues love to drop some rune salvage on you. You have 2 options with these. You can either sell them or high alch them. High alching may net you a little bit more GP. I voted to just sell it. I didn't feel like I had the time for maybe a million more. So I just went ahead and sold it. Our huge plated, we got 14.8 million. Large plated, 19.3. Way more in the average there. It's about 300 more than the average of all the other ones. Medium plated, 7.1. Large bladed, we got 9.5. Medium bladed, 7.2. And medium spiky, 7.2 as well. For a grand total here of 65.1 million GP. You can give or take a million if you were to high alch it. I decided against it. So grand total there, 65.1 million GP. Now the miscellaneous items here, I only named it miscellaneous items because they don't really fit within any other group that I would sell them for. These are the things like your rune arrows, god arrows, bolt tips, firelighters, things like that. Things that you get that they don't really fit within other groups. The big things that we got here, the onyx bolt tip sold for 10.2 million and the hydrix bolt sold for 8.3 million. As well as the rune arrow 7.3 million and the dragon helmet sold for 3.6 million. That was the large items that sold. In total, everything sold for 39.7 million, which is still quite a bit when you think about it. The firelighters actually didn't sell for like anything. I actually put them in the GE for like 1 GP, and a couple of them sold for like 1 GP. Like nobody wanted these things. So a couple of them I just throw it in there really cheap. But again, in total 39.7 mil. It's great for the added bonus of things that you just kind of stack in there that you don't really care about. Now I decided to split this up into 2 sections, Mystic Staffs and Battle Staffs. Mystic Staffs are what you get from rewards when you do your hard clues, and the Battle Staffs are what you get if you decide not to use a Meerkat, and you can actually go ahead and kill like the double agent. It may not be the double agent, but you get it from like the Cavage-mancer or things of that nature. So I decided to split that up into 2 sections. From the Mystic Staffs, we got 29.6 million GP, and from Battle Staffs, we got 966k. So a little under a mil right there. And I only wanted to split that up because you may not get a lot of Battle Staffs if you decide not to kill when you do your scan sections. So when you killed the enemy at the scan location where you dig, you may get a chance to get Battle Staffs. I like to kill them. It kind of adds up after a while, get an extra mil out of it. And it saves 2 seconds if you use the Meerkats. So I just decided to skip Meerkats, and I go ahead and just use my necromancy and kill whatever the enemy is. Now these are the fortunate components that I told you that I got but didn't transform into actual components. These are the things that sell for a little bit more than the average of 1.3 million. Some of them go for like 2 million, some of them like 1.8. So they're a little bit too high that you don't want to convert them into the actual components themselves, and you can just sell them on the GE. Now I did get a couple of the elemental battle stabs. Those sold for 5.4. I think I had like 3 flaming swords, or maybe 4. Those sold for 5.2 million. I had 1 elemental impetus, which sold for 3.2, and I believe I had 5 amulet of furies T's, which those sold for 9.5 million, for the grand total there of 23.3 million. So you always want to check before you convert anything into fortunate components, because they can be worth a little bit more than the average amount. Now for the teleport tabs that we got, I did not sell the lighthouse teleport tabs because I will be using those in my next series for when I go and do my clues. So I decided not to sell those. Those could be worth about 8 million. Since I decided to skip that, everything else that I sold, 2.3 million, they're not really worth anything. They're just, you get them anyways, sell them to whoever wants them for a low price. Doesn't really matter. 2.3 million. And all of the pages for the god books, I got quite a bit. A lot of them don't sell for what the GE value is. I ended up getting a total of 2.2 million for every single one of the pages. Some sold for like 3 GP, some sold for like 60k. It's just luck of the draw of what you get. They're also not really worth anything, so you can just throw them up in the GE and hope you get a little bit of change out. Now for the part that everybody was wondering about, the grand total that we got for everything in this video was 11.6 billion GP. 9.9 of that was broadcast, but as you can see here, I have the math. So from the time that I did this, I averaged 100 clues per week. 18 total episodes was 18 weeks. I averaged about 2 to 3 hours a day for 7 days a week. That comes out to about 14 to 21 hours per week, or 252 to 378 hours total. Of those, if you include the broadcast, we gained 30.8 million to 46.2 million per hour, depending on which range of the hours you want to go. Because some weeks I did do 2 hours a day, some weeks I did 3. It's a hit or miss. It's within that range. If you were to count what I got without broadcast, it is still 4.6 to 6.9 per hour, and that is including hards and masters. So in all, you're guaranteed to get some sort of broadcast, so you're looking still more within the 30 to 40 million per hour range. Obviously, third age die was a huge amount of that money, so it would probably be more like 10 to 20, but third age die, large amount of money. And of course, at the end of the series, after I opened up everything that I had 14 masters left to do. I had to go ahead and clear them out. We gained 18.7 million off of these. Nothing major, no broadcasts. Just wanted to go ahead and throw those in there as an added bonus. But I appreciate you guys for following along with this series. I hope you're excited for the next one, because we're going to be getting a lot more GP out of it. Catch you guys in the next one.